Good afternoon, everybody. July 12th, K1GMM. Steve, I felt this needed to be an urgent update. As anybody who has been following the information regarding this is relevant to the receive audio being processed in Cakewalk to improve the receive side of things. Hey, Mike, how you doing, man? Good to see you, Andy. And I've been working with a friend of mine, and he had a tremendous amount. Hey, Garrett. Tim, how you doing, man? So I've been working with a couple folks regarding the TX audio side of things, helping them get up and going. And then updating the website, as you know, pretty much on a daily basis. Ran into a problem this morning that I feel is I need to put an urgent message out to folks who are doing this. I had a good chat with a friend of mine over in Scotland about an hour ago, and I was picking his brain. Now, the guy I've been working with, he had a tremendous amount of RFI on his audio and seems to have lost the ability to grab audio from, he's running a Kenwood TS2000, and he was coming out of the headphone out, which is how I do it on the 7300 input into input 2 of the Soundcard, and then processing the received audio with DSP and Cakewalk, which anyone who's tried it knows that it can be a radical improvement to any receive system, to the received audio. As far as being able to pull up weak signals, flatten everything out, remove noise, blah, 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 as you guys know from previous videos I've done on this topic. Now, it looks like he suffered a failure on input 2 of the sound card. It's a Mackie Onyx. I have one here that I run, as well as an M audio card, and I use two cards to pipe audio in and out virtually using the DAW into my SDR transceivers as well as the 7300. I have stopped using the receive audio side of things, bringing audio from the rig analog into input 2 of the sound card to process it in Cakewalk because I had an RF issue. I don't have RFI in the shack. At least I didn't think I did, right? There's no RF ever on my audio, my TX audio. Now, however, on receive, if I plug a cable into that headphone out of the Sun, the SDR2DX, and I bring that into line 2 of the card and try and process it through Cakewalk, the minute I key up, all hell breaks loose. The monitor is not on the Sun, so the receive audio should go dead. However, there's something happening with that's causing all kinds of problems. So what I ended up doing is I put in a relay, which is activated with my PTT floor switch, which kills that line that comes from the Sun. However, and that works great. However, that being said, I do not use that system anymore. I still use it on the 7300, and it seems to work fine, but what's the point, you're asking me? The point is that, and this is why I put this on the website. There are so many variables involved. Every station's different. All the antennas are different. The equipment is different. I cannot guarantee how it's going to work with other transceivers. Now I'm talking specifically the receive side. I know the website is focusing all on TX audio, and that's where I'm going to save it. I'm going to put something in there, a separate page for the receive side of things. I do not use it anymore. On the Anon, the NR2 is second to none as far as noise reduction. It's a brick wall. There are some artifacts in it when you activate it, but I can live with that. The SDR2DX falls flat on its face when it comes to the receive side as far as control compared to the Anon. I'm not going to go into too deep. The NR, the noise reduction on the Expert, far inferior to the Anon. It's just the way it is. I can do a demonstration for people, and I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. So with the failure of the second input, after speaking to a friend of mine in Scotland this morning, he's seen multiple failures, multiple operators having failures on their cards, their sound cards, because of RF ingress. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I need to put this out there. If you do this, if you do it that way, make darn sure there's no RF getting into that line. Channel 1 on these sound cards normally have the ability to use 48 volt phantom power to power your microphone if you're using a condenser like this one, right? So the input 1 on these sound cards are capable of handling a little bit more abuse, taking a little bit more abuse just because they're set up to run 48 volt phantom power. The second input on, let's say, a Machionics or the audio card, that does not have the capability to run 48 volt phantom power. Now, in theory, you should be able to take a headphone out and plug it into the line level input of one of these cards on channel 2, and everything should be fine. There is a certain level of wattage there and a little tiny bit of voltage that goes along with the wattage, but it should be easily within limits of what that circuit is capable of handling. However, enter RF ingress. When you get RF ingressing in there, things go sideways very quick. And I don't know this for a fact, but I suspect that's what took out the channel 2 input on the Mackie, because of the amount of RF that was getting in. Again, I don't know that for a fact, but I wanted to put that little word of warning out to you guys. If you're thinking about doing it or you are doing it, recommendation I would have is to immediately stop doing it. And this is just for precautions. Like I said, I don't have a problem doing it. My 7300 has been running perfectly fine on that, with that system. However, you may want to, like, you can go to a big box store if you're here stateside, and you can go to Walmart, let's say Wally Mart, and pick up, I don't know what it's called. I think it's a line level converter, and you can pick it up in the automotive car stereo, car audio section. It's a little box, and what it does is it takes a powered signal, let's say from a head unit, and it converts it down to a line level signal so you can feed a subwoofer. That would be the first thing I would do. The second thing is literally scavenge and scan for RFI ingress on your system. The station that has had this problem runs a big gun, Yagi, on 20 meters. That is very close to the shack. Now, I think it's about 60 feet up in the air, but it's literally right on top of the shack. Shack is in the basement. And in the same corner of the structure is the tower. So, yeah. There is a certain amount of all of my antennas are a ways away. My 20 meter antennas are actually above the roof, but they're about, 40 feet away. And they're up about 60 feet behind me. Let's see, that would be back here, right back here. I'm in the basement. So I'm trying not to get sidetracked or digress too much, but I'm trying to put this in a way that people will understand it and what to look for. So let's just check the chat real quick. Okay, nothing there. They're cheap, Andy. Exactly. And so as far as running your audio using a card and a DAW to feed your rig, not a problem there. Just because if you come in channel 1 at 48 volt phantom power, even if you have RFI in your audio, that circuit is more robust than usually the channel 2 circuits that are designed to take a line level signal. I think they can take nominally maybe a little bit more than 1.5 volts, but you look at the wattage. If you look at the wattage and convert that to volts, the amount of watts that comes out of a headphone out of, let's say, a transceiver, what it takes to actually drive those headphones, it isn't much. So if you're to convert that to voltage, it should be well within the threshold, well within the limits of the input 2. However, you combine it with RFI, that's where you get problems. So I don't know that it took channel 2 out. That's the reason why it failed. We don't know that. But I find it a coincidence. I don't know if it's just a sheer coincidence that input 2 failed, and that was the input that rig was plugged into. You know what they say about about coincidences. You really don't know. It's hard to say. It's pure speculation at this point, but that's basically it. That's what I wanted to share with you guys. So the moral of the story is, if you're going to do that, the first thing I would do is get a line level converter in line there. And once that's done, check for RFI. And I mean thoroughly check it. Now on the Sun, if I was on 0 drive on the Sun and I keyed the system up, and that's with the monitor off, everything was fine. The minute I brought the drive level up to 10, 15%, I could hear RF all over everything. And that's in the dummy load. That's just RF radiation coming out of the transceiver itself, probably. I was in a dummy load, and that was literally 10, 15% drive on the Sun is maybe 3 watts. It's not much. Okay, Dan. Let me see what you got going there. RX audio is routed via SDR radio to Modus USB audio interface to speakers, headphones, no physical cable. No, you're not missing anything, Dan. So, Dan, you are all virtual, correct? You're running all virtual, and you are running an Anon. And I'm glad you said that, because that's why the Anons, any SDR radio, this is my personal feeling, all right? And I do it this way, and I don't have any issues. My personal feeling is that the more you can keep things in the virtual realm, the better and the safer you are. So, in other words, the more cabling you have between pieces of equipment and stuff like that, just use USB cable. See, so basically you have a microphone cable hitting your card, and then all the audio is piped virtually in and out of the card. That is the correct way to do this stuff. The minute you introduce cabling, the more cabling you get, the more possibility of RF getting in. So for these SDR transceivers, in my opinion, and you know what they say about opinions, my Anon and the Expert are all virtual, except for one cable which runs from the output of the Mackie Onyx to the M audio card. If you go to my website, you'll see how it's configured. I'm able to run a DAW, run all the processing in the DAW. Now I got to get that information from the Mackie to the M audio card, which is the primary station card that communicates with everything. The rig, the computer, I use it here on OBS. So cabling to a minimum. RF, I didn't know this, but RF ingress can be, it's not just destructive on audio, but you can actually, now this is speculation. Don't know if this is actually what happened, but I find it ironic that input 2 failed on that card and he had RF problems. So I want to just put that out there, because I know I've been contacted by some people that are doing it and they're having very good luck doing it and they love it, but I don't know. I don't know if that's really what did it or not. Maybe it was a defunct card. But after talking to my friend in Scotland, he says, oh no, he says, I know several operators that have had card failures because of RF ingress. So there you go. That's all I got. You got to be careful with this stuff, you know. As far as the rigs, I don't see how anything could ever happen to the rig. But that's it, folks. All right, I felt it important to get that out there. If you're doing this I'm talking about the receive audio only. If you're doing this, well, you guys know this. You're on your own, man. I can only show you what I do here, and like I always say, mileage may vary, but you may want to take some precautionary steps. That's all I can say. Just, cards are getting difficult to find. Hey, Paul, how you doing? Everything's getting very difficult to find, so you want to try and preserve your equipment if you can. That's it, folks. All right, I'm out of here. I will catch up with you later. 7-3. Have a great afternoon, everybody. And have fun, whatever you're doing. But let's be a little cerebral about this. It's fun to try new things and experiment, but these variables, these unknown variables, can be a real PETA. And they can cause a lot of problems. RFI, well, we've all seen what RF can do to the front end of a transceiver. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. Go ahead and key up with 100 watts in close proximity to another station on the same band with in fairly close proximity and frequency, and the front end of that radio will look like it was set on fire. So there you go. Potentially be insanely destructive. We'll see y'all later. Take care, gang. Maybe back later. 20. Oh, heads up, everybody. 20 was flipping roaring. I was listening to Pennsylvanian here, 300 air miles away at 20 over earlier on 20 meters. Crazy. So we'll see what happens this afternoon. Another freak show of a day on 20.